Roxo Media House.
6 days. Today was, a good kind of middle of spring practice for us. Thought the guys were pretty consistent, competed hard. A lot of things we got to do, little small corrections that we got to make. But I think that we're starting to feel a little bit more comfortable and get more dialed in. And guys that have made position changes are starting to get a little more settled. So I feel good about where we are today. We've stayed healthy thus far and got a lot of work done.
This is Frogs Today Daily. And here's your host, the voice of the Frogs, Brian Estridge.
Welcome into Frogs Today Daily after practice number 6 here. They went indoors to the Samba indoor facility here for this one, did Sonny Dykes' team, with a major emphasis today on red zone work. That's right. He wanted to see the Kendall Briles offense working in the red zone against Joe Gillespie's defense. Saw some bright spots, too, really, out of both groups. By the way, keep your eye on Big Dom Williams. That lineman for the Horned Frogs moved from nose tackle to defensive end, created havoc at times against the number one here. Chandler Morris and also Josh Hoover looked good at quarterback, directing this offense in short yardage. Then he pressured him a little bit, put him down to the 2-yard line, went through some situational things too, to make sure linemen don't hold in the end zone, to make sure, guys make sure they get out of the end zone and don't settle for a safety. So a lot of situational stuff here today. Red zone work, down and distance work here today for the Horned Frogs in practice number 6. After practice was over with, we talked a lot about position changes. We've continually mentioned Namdi Obiazar, who's moved obviously from safety down to linebacker, but it's more than that, including John Lanz. The guard on offense now moved to center, replacing Alan Ali. He joined us in the media room, and we talked with John Lanz about how this year is different than last.
Different. It's good. I'm doing spring ball, getting some time getting used to it. I mean, you'll probably know I've had some injury history throughout my career here. So I remember, my freshman year, I started playing a little bit, and I got stuck with those 2 injuries in those back-to-back years and kind of just got settled in the guard. But towards the end of the season last year, I started playing some center, and so just full-time now, it's been good. It's been fun. It's exciting to learn a new position and whatever I can do to help the team this year.
With that position change for John Lanz also comes responsibility changes. As the center, you're essentially the quarterback of this offensive line. He touched on that with us as well.
Well, the center is definitely I'm the leader of the offense line. I'm in charge of making the calls. It's my duty. It's not whatever I say goes, but I set the tone, I guess, and so it's a big deal. It's a big deal for me. It's a lot of responsibility on my shoulders, but then I also have a lot of experienced guys next to me at tackles like Andrew and Brandon Coleman who've been helping me as also, and so a lot of responsibility falls on me. But we're a team and we're a unit, so it's kind of shared between us.
This offense, obviously, based on tempo. Kendall Briles wants this thing to move quickly, folks, and that can press an offensive line. We talked to John Lanz about how that challenges this group.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit faster than last year. I mean, the first couple of days were rough. I mean, we ran 4 or 5 plays, and we're on the sideline, broke, so breathing heavy. But we're just getting better. We're getting better in shape. We're getting more in shape, and as practices go on and spring ball goes on, we're getting more and more shape, and it's getting easier and easier, and we're getting used to it.
The good news for John is he's got 2 guys that he learned from last year, and Alan Ali, obviously, with the 50 starts or so, and then Steve Avila, who also played center for the Horned Frogs. He touched on both of those elder statesmen and the fact that he learned from them last year and continues to learn from them as they train for Pro Day this week.
So Steve and Alan were big leaders for us last year, and so I'm sure y'all have seen him around a couple practices this year. I'm really close with both of them. And I know Alon played center for us last year, but Steve played center for us when he was younger. And so I've just been leaning on them, and I'll watch film with them, and they've been giving me some pointers, which is really cool of them because I know how busy they are. But whenever I have questions, I'll go up to them and I'll ask them about any tips and advice they have for me, which has been really beneficial. I mean, I'll see that Steve's played all 5 positions on the offense line. I mean, it was the COVID year at Oklahoma State. He got back from COVID that Thursday. We had to throw him at right tackle that game, and he held it, and he played great. So Steve's just one of those guys. He's a really, really good, talented, really good football player. He's been able to play all 5 of those positions. So for me personally, going from guard to center now, it's if I want to play at the next level, it's something I got to be able to do because it makes me more valuable, being able to play all 3 interior positions. So that's something I'm aiming for.
In addition to those 2 players, A.J. Rickers, the offensive line coach of the Horned Frogs, one of the best in the business. John Lanz talked about the advice that he's given him in this move to center.
Well, for me, it's always been like, don't freak out and kind of just stay calm. And so that's like one of the things I've always struggled with is like not freak out, but I get overwhelmed, kind of, I guess. And so just stay calm and stay level-headed and just trust myself. And so I'm confident in what I can do now. And I know I'm good enough to play at this level, and so staying calm, being able to do that.
And we couldn't let John get away without talking about the quarterbacks. Josh Hoover, Chandler Morris, their leadership skill. We couldn't say, how are they in the huddle? This group doesn't huddle, remember. But how are they getting their team ready on the field, the leadership that he's seen out of the two quarterbacks so far?
I mean, both the guys are great leaders, and so, I mean, that's the true leader of the team, the quarterback. Like, when you ask who the leader of the team is, it's supposed to be the quarterback. And so I think both those guys have really stepped up this year in their leadership roles. And it's just been great having them because Chandler's an older guy. And Josh, he's a redshirt freshman now, but he's got that year of experience under his belt. And so they're both, especially Josh coming into himself and Chandler being the leader that he is.
That's John Lanz, the center for the Horned Frogs. All right, up next was Damonic Williams, of course, who's moved from nose tackle to outside. You know, you can still see him at the middle spot some as well. We're going to talk to Dom after this practice number 6 next, when Frogs Today Daily continues after this timeout.
At Higginbotham, we put people first. So we simply start by listening to you. Whether you're searching for customized insurance, HR, or financial solutions to protect your home, car, health, business, or employees, our specialists are here to serve you, the people you care about, and your success. Higginbotham, insurance, HR, and financial services. Inspired by you.
Texas-based Happy Water offers the best-tasting, sugar-free kids drink ever made. Happy Water comes in 4 delicious flavors that you can find at local retailers and on Amazon. Each pouch contains 0 grams of sugar, 0 calories, and 0% juice. Head to happydrinks.com for more information and to purchase Happy Water. That's HAPIdrinks.com. Live happy, be happy, drink happy.
The Flying T Club provides the everyday TCU fan and alum the ability to specifically support TCU student athletes. Flying T Club offers 3 levels of memberships. The Flying T Club is a nonprofit organization supporting the brand development of TCU student athletes through a series of unique event-based networking opportunities, which are exclusive to our members. These events provide a great social engagement tool for our members and student athletes alike. Follow them on Instagram at Flying T Club or online at flyingtclub.com.
It's going very good. I'm excited to learn the end, and I'm very excited to be versatile, and that's like just a +1 in my books.
That's a sophomore defensive lineman, Damonic Williams, talking about that position change. Yeah, you're still going to see him in nose tackle some, but playing at end already for the Horned Frogs here in the spring, learning that new position. He talked about the difference between the 2 spots in Joe Gillespie's defense.
Really the 2-gap. I'm so used to being a nose, playing backside, being able to 2-gap everything. I have to learn how to stay on the outside when I need to stay on the outside, move gaps when I need to move gaps, but all that's going to come in time.
Dom also mentioned what his first reaction was when asked if he'd be willing to make that position change.
I was excited, but I was nervous because I'm like, I don't know nothing just yet.
And tempo being a theme, obviously, with this year's team, we asked Dom what it's like facing this Kendall Briles offense that runs in this fast tempo, fast mode, if you will, all the time.
It's something new. At the beginning of the practice, we always run tempo. So it's like doing that over and over and over again.
That's Damonic Williams, the Frog defensive lineman. Sonny Dykes also joined us post-practice. He talked about what the day was like, the work that they got in here today, including that emphasis that we mentioned on the red zone.
We're pretty consistent, competed hard. You know, a lot of things we got to do, little small corrections that we got to make. But I think that we're starting to feel a little bit more comfortable and get more dialed in. And guys that have made position changes are starting to get a little more settled. So I feel good about where we are today. We've stayed healthy thus far and got a lot of work done. So it's kind of one of those, like I said, middle of the road spring practices that guys got out, grinded through it, and got better. So was happy to see kind of the performance of our guys today. Yeah. So what we do is we do some situational stuff. So it's always. We're always trying to get better at situations. So, Monday's practice was 2-minute and third down primarily. Worked a lot of third and long situations Today was more red zone, and then we just spent some time coming off, and we do a lot of those things. Number one, you want to practice those plays, but then it also gives you a lot of teaching moments. We had some plays when we were backed up today at the 2-yard line, that we'll be able to teach off of, where some guys made some mistakes and typical stuff like a holding in the end zone becomes a safety. And that putting our players in those situations allows us to teach and improve those things. As far as the red zone stuff goes, I think a lot of that just depends on how your offense starts to develop, and what kind of identity do you establish. I've always felt like obviously the key to being good at the red zone is being able to run the football as the field starts to shrink a little bit, and so we've got to continue to be able to do that. But I thought overall, and as I said, it's going to depend on some guys. Do guys emerge? Is there a go-to vertical threat? Is there somebody that your quarterback gets really comfortable with dumping the ball down to? I mean, just all these different things kind of play out, and so your red zone offense really gets determined by a couple of factors. Number one, how much does the defense change when you get in the red zone? Some people are drastically different. Some people don't change that much. And then the other factor is, you always want to put the ball in your best players' hands. Who are those guys? What are your plays that you're comfortable with? And, and then it's one of those deals that's always changing and evolving really up until, week one.
He also referenced the position changes that we've talked about time and time again, including the move for John Lanz to center and why.
So there's always some position stuff that shakes down. What I like about this group on the offensive line is, we're working with a lot of different combinations. We're bouncing some guys from inside to outside. We've got a number of different players that are repping at center. And so as the spring rolls along a little bit, we'll kind of get a better idea of who's comfortable doing what and what who do we have the most confidence in.
We also learned from Sonny Dykes the difference between last year's offense under Garrett Riley and this year's offense under Kendall Briles.
It's not going to look much different, really, to the naked eye. I mean, it's probably more one-off stuff. What we're doing in terms of little nuanced plays and ways to get people the ball. That are the pocket's going to get moved a little bit more than it has in the past with some true sprint out and some boots and some stuff that we didn't utilize as much last year. And again, a lot of that's going to be determined by, what's our quarterback comfortable with and how we're going to get the best players in space and get them the football and let them do what they do. So, that's always evolving.
And then finally, we remind you that Pro Day happens tomorrow. We will be here live to cover that for you on Frogs Today Daily. We'll have 15 Frogs working out for that one, including the quarterback, Max Duggan. Sonny Dykes was asked about Max and what his advice to NFL teams was who were thinking about looking at Max Duggan at quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's a winner. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, he's one of those people that when he walks into a room, the temperature changes. He's just got an ability to make people around him better. And I think as a quarterback and a facilitator, whether it's a point guard or whether it's a quarterback, I mean, that's what those guys do. They make everybody that surrounds them better. And the special ones have an ability to do that. And Max does that. I mean, he really does. And he does it in ways that I think we don't appreciate probably as much as we should. I mean, I've said it over and over again. You go watch Max practice and you walk off the field and you go, hey, he's all right. And then you get him into a game, and it's not that he's a gamer. He just does all these things in games that you really can't measure in practice. And it's just he just has an impact on the game. And he's going to be, he's going to be a great leader. He's going to be one of those guys that's the first guy in the building, the last one to leave. You're not going to have to worry about, him off the field, and he's going to make everybody around him better. So, I don't know how you can endorse anybody any more than that.
That's the head coach, Sonny Dykes, wrapping it up here today after practice number 6. That's going to do it for this edition of Frogs Today Daily. Don't forget, tomorrow it is Pro Day. We'll be here live. The majority of it will take place indoors at the Samba Indoor Facility. We'll be covering that for you, 15 Horned Frogs, putting their best foot forward as they get ready for the NFL. For our entire crew, thanks for joining us here today on this edition of Frogs Today Daily. See you tomorrow, Pro Day, here.
Roxo Media House.